wife.
Do you know what we're doing today?
I believe we're doing a Q&A.
Sure as fuck are.
Yeah. And we've been MIA for a few days, so sorry about that.
Well, I had to A some cues.
You did.
It was taking me a while.
This Jesus shit is something else.
Yeah. We're only doing a Q&A over chapter 23.
Right.
And of Matthew.
Yeah, it's seeming very much like we're going to have to do a fucking Q&A over every goddamn chapter.
I mean...
most of the time.
We say this every opening, but yeah, because he's quoting the Old Testament and then he's also saying some shit.
Yeah.
And then sometimes, like in this one, there's new vocabulary.
Turns out the New Testament's a lot more work than the Old Testament.
It sure as fuck is.
But not because it's better or anything.
No.
Mostly because it's worse.
Yes, actually.
So in some ways, not others. So it's worse in that it is literal propaganda bullshit, like all the way through.
Propaganda bullshit.
And okay, yeah, sure, it's got some pretty parables and fucking good words and stuff, but you know that doesn't make a book good. It just makes it more digestible.
Does it though?
Sometimes, sort of, in certain sections, occasionally.
I still need Tums.
I mean, it's as easy to read this as it is to put a camel through the eye of a needle,
or to strain a gnat.
Or whatever. Fuck yeah. I'm done with Anyway, so we're doing the Q&A over Matthew chapter 23, correct?
That is correct, sir.
All right, you ready to get into this?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okie dokie. So I don't know if you recall, but chapter 23 was the one that I did not remember that we had read. And so... do you remember that? I was
do,
like,
yeah.
We're on chapter 23.
I was summarizing and you're like, what?
Yeah.
And then you kept going like, what?
Yeah,
and I'm like, no, we did. We read this shit.
I had no recollection of it. And then when I started doing the Q&A, only half of it came back.
So you just like blanked this whole one. This whole chapter was just blanked out in your mind.
A lot of it was. Yeah. There's a lot of woes in this chapter.
Yeah.
And I even did like a... whoa, man. Whoa.
So I married an axe murderer, just for the record.
Yeah. Right. It turns out that chapter 23 of Matthew is one of the harshest chapters in the entire New Testament. So I re-listened to our episode in order to try to refresh my memory.
Yeah. And
we actually said throughout the chapter, like, man, Jesus is so mean. Yeah. And it turns out, we're right.
Jesus is mean.
He was the meanest in this chapter than he is in any other part. Like, yeah.
So this is the meanest Jesus there is.
This is the meanest Jesus.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the chapter itself, again, is one of the harshest of the entire New Testament.
Not a good look for him, you know?
No.
Like, I mean, he's not coming across as this loving, God figure thing that everybody proclaims him to be.
No, it's definitely a mood, and it's definitely a choice. So what happens is we get the woes to the scribes and the Pharisees in this chapter. Okay. And it's essentially a public denunciation of the scribes and the Pharisees. Yeah. Except for the last two verses of the chapter are a lament over Jerusalem. He's like, you suck, all of you suck. And then in the last two verses, he's like, and that's sad.
Okay. Here, there's a difference here. Like, I didn't really... Jesus doesn't seem to think that there's much redemption for Jerusalem, right?
No, in this chapter, we especially see that he's like, oh, all of you are going to hell.
Right. And I guess my point is that there was never a point in the Old Testament where God wasn't like, yeah, I'm going to kill all you fuckers, but you can come back from this. I'm going to leave some of you. So,
there's always a remnant.
Just fix it. Get better.
Get better.
Jesus is like, nope, time's up. Fuck y'all.
Yeah, all of you are going to hell, and I hate you. We're all Jewish here, but you're the absolute worst Jews ever.
It feels like they're the Jewish sect that refuses to allow themselves to be questioned, that it refuses to bend to anything that they don't believe. Like, they are very secluded in their beliefs.
Yeah.
And they are very much their own little entity over there that everyone's like, who the fuck do they think they are?
Right.
And they're like, we think we're the son of Jesus, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then they're like, why? Or we think, no, son of God. I'm sorry, not son of Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't think Jesus has a son. Or if he does, I don't. He might. Who knows what he got up to? You know.
Sure. And who's going to stop him?
Right. Motherfucker, you're gonna walk on water and shit.
Right?
Yeah. Stop storms and crap. You know.
So early in the first few chapters of Matthew, Jesus comes across as like a teacher, a healer, a preacher, a storyteller, and we didn't love him, but we didn't hate him. Right.
He wasn't boasting about being the son of God and shit, and seemed kind of to be a little bit humble, maybe even like somewhat compared to what he is now. Yeah. By this chapter and for the rest of Matthew, Jesus refers to himself as the final judge, the king, the Son of Man who will return in glory, and one who determines eternal destinies. Yeah. He's like, he starts out going, hey, I have some ideas, follow me. And then he's like heating up with, I think you guys are doing this wrong. And then he's like, let's break all the rules. And then he's like, I'm the son of God, so I can do whatever the fuck I want and you're going to hell. Yeah. I mean, the escalation is quick. We're only on chapter 23. Think about that. 23 chapters. We went from, I've got some ideas to, I'm the son of God and you're going to hell. Fuck you. Well, I think we commented that maybe it was around chapter 16 or 17. I can't remember exactly where it was. But at some point, the tone switched dramatically. That is exactly. Right? Chapters 16 and 17 is exactly when the tone changed. And I feel like maybe some of the stuff prior to that was based on possibly actual notes from that time frame, right? And things that maybe this guy, Jesus or whatever the fuck he was saying and doing and whatever, right? And it switched at some point to more of a propaganda piece that was written after the fact. After the Second Temple fell. Yeah. And like to reflect the times of the fall of the Second Temple. And that's how this whole book has felt to me. Yes. It's felt more like two books. It's felt like the one that was written before and the one that was written after. Yes. And that's kind of how I'm choosing to view this, because I feel like that's what this is. Yeah. I totally agree, and a lot of scholars do as well. Yeah. So you're on the right track, as usual. So with regard to the whole progression of Jesus from, humble to, like, scary as fuck. Yeah. So quickly, there's 3 different ways that gets interpreted. Okay. Obviously. Yeah. There's always that. Sure. So the traditional Christian view says that, no, Jesus has always possessed this authority, but as the narrative approaches the crucifixion, he just reveals it more openly. That's all. He was always strong. Don't be confused about it. He just chose when he was going to show it. Okay. And I'm like, you're cute. Shut up. Right. That's childish and silly. Go away. You're not, you're so unserious, So, whatever. Right. Then we've got the historical critical view. And this is the one that it makes the most sense, obviously, because it's, critical. I just got a comment here real quick. But like, okay, so Jesus is 30 whatever years old or whatever, and it's a week before he's going to die. And this week before he's going to die is the point where he's just fucking finally had it. Yeah. The 30 plus years prior to that, whatever. Yeah. But that week before, he's done. Y'all fucked up. The gloves are off, and suddenly I'm going to be mean. Like, what? No, it doesn't make any sense. Right. And Christians are not serious. They are very unserious. I cannot take them seriously because they have no scholarship to them. No matter how much seminary and no matter how much
biblical scholarship they claim to have, no matter how many trips to Israel they take,
Right.
they don't actually read the parts that they need to read, and they don't study the parts they need to study, and I cannot engage with them.
They're filling previous gaps with information from the second half of Matthew and other information that they have is what they're doing.
Right.
They're filling gaps that they're allowing to exist because in order for their belief to persist, they have to exist.
But that's why they're unserious.
Right.
That's not scholarship. That's
and
childishness.
Moreover, I honestly, for someone who is a true believer of God or Jesus or whatever, I wouldn't expect scholarship. I really wouldn't. Like I do sometimes, but
you know what? I'm going to push back on that.
Okay.
Because they always fucking say, just read the Bible. You don't get to push that on me if you haven't done the fucking work. So, no, I'm going to push back on that. I do expect scholarship of them.
I didn't mean that they shouldn't. I believe they should be scholarly about this. I don't believe that many of them are.
But that's why they're unserious.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, you're not putting in the work. You don't get to have an opinion on this. Not in my orb.
Right.
Get out of my face.
Yeah.
So, okay, the historical critical view is that many scholars think Matthew, writing, as we know, decades after Jesus' death, he presents a more developed understanding of Jesus than his earlier followers initially had. And the gospel reflects the church's growing belief about who Jesus was.
So again, propaganda.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, the literary view, and this also makes some sense, is that Matthew is building toward the climax. The book of Matthew, not the authors.
Yeah, right.
And that the stories often raise the stakes near the end. So
sure, which still is it's saying exactly what this is a fucking story.
It's rephrasing things 3 different ways to all come to the same thing, which is that this is bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
And
this is you might be taking small snippets of ideas from this guy that lived and died in Jerusalem, but let's be honest, you're twisting this into something completely different.
Yes.
That is exactly what this book is about. That is what's happening. And it is so fucking obvious that it makes me sick to think that people actually believe this shit and think that this is fact and that this is real and that these things actually happen, because I can't, for the life of me, understand how any rational person would actually think that.
Right.
It is so not well written.
Yeah.
Much like what I just said was not well written. It wasn't written at all. I just couldn't speak well.
Right. From a modern perspective, something to think about is that publicly humiliating the most respected religious authorities in the nation, that's like a real vibe. Like he went out of his way to intentionally antagonize and humiliate all of the leaders. Like, that's not a way to win people over. And you and I commented on that in the beginning.
No, but it's definitely, and we've learned this from recent history, for sure. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely a way to solidify your base.
It is.
Like, that is how you...
Hate is more quick. It throws flames on the fire and makes it burn.
And we equated this early on to a cult, right? Mm-hmm. Because it sounds like the way these teachings were being handled by Jesus and taught to us through Matthew or Matthew's disciples or whatever, the way it's handled in this book is very cultish.
It is.
They're very closed off from the rest of Jerusalem. They're very much like, fuck you, we're going our own way. And
we will pick stuff on the Sabbath if we want to. Yeah. Because we decided we have a good reason.
So they are operating in a way that is very indicative of a hardcore, cultish group of people.
Yes.
And they're saying things and doing things that kind of embolden those people to be more brazen in their beliefs and the way that they act and the way that they proselytize and the way that they do all these things because of how different and radical this group is with regard to the rest of what Judaism is. Right.
And we can see from the fact that he is being antagonistic, He's clearly not trying to win them over. He is not trying to build broad appeal.
No.
He is trying to excite his base.
Yes.
And that is made very obvious, no more so than in this chapter.
Right.
Something that we should keep in mind and note is that prophets such as Jesus, prophets from the Old Testament, though, they often did this. They often spoke out radically and expected rejection.
Yeah.
They all delivered confrontational messages. Think about Jeremiah, Isaiah, Amos, and even John the Baptist.
No, absolutely.
They were all very vocal, and they were not trying to win appeal.
But none of them claimed to be the Son of God either.
Right. He just took it to the next obvious drink the Kool-Aid or Powerade or whatever step.
Yeah.
And then, you know, Trump picked up the football and ran the rest of the way across America. It's just, it's very sickening. Mm-hmm. It's what it is. It's sickening to be able to read it so obviously as it is.
Yeah.
So, okay, that talks about the book or the chapter as a whole. Okay.
Yeah.
Getting into the chapter itself, we've got this split up into 3 sections. The first section of chapter 23 is verses 1 through 12. Do what they teach, but don't imitate them. It's basically, he's saying, do as they say, but not as they do, because the leaders are corrupt or what the fuck ever.
Sure.
Okay. He tells the scribes he tells the crowd that the scribes and the Pharisees occupy Moses' teaching authority, so people should obey the law, but they should not copy their behavior.
But then he rejects that too, though.
Right.
I mean,
no, I'm just trying to tell you what this first section is, the message is.
Yeah.
Okay. So verses 1 and 2 read, Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, the teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. And this was one of those things where we were like, what? It didn't really make a lot of sense to us. But we took it to be like an analogy, like symbolically, they're sitting in the position of power like Moses was.
Right.
But there's actually more to it than that we did not realize.
All right.
This is one of the few places where archaeology might intersect with the text. Because ancient synagogues sometimes had a literal stone chair that was known as the seat of Moses.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
How cool is that?
Okay.
Where someone would read and interpret the Torah.
Got it.
So they were literally sitting in Moses' seat. They were literally and figuratively occupying the place of a religious leader who is going to read and interpret the law for the people.
Yeah.
Again, figuratively and literally.
Right.
And so Jesus is not denying the authority of the scriptures. He's criticizing the people who claim the authority to interpret that.
And often, and we can take that back to the Old Testament, that was often the case back then too. Most of the time when there was criticisms on
it was about
Jerusalem,
the leaders.
It was about the leaders.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is not unusual what Jesus is saying. It's just that it progressed so crazy fast.
Yeah.
That's the part that we're like, the fuck?
Right. Well, and I think the message is similar to what Old Testament messages were with regard to these leaders suck, don't follow them, blah, 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 right? Mm-hmm. But there was never a point where, like, the whole point of that was to follow the correct way, follow this way, right?
Yeah.
And there is some of that with Jesus, but also with Jesus, there's this whole point of, I'm cutting you all off, you're fucking done.
Not only that, but he is reinterpreting the rules.
Yeah. In so many different ways.
I don't care for that at all.
He's reinterpreting the rules, but then saying, but I'm not. And then, so it's really fucking confusing.
Gaslighting.
It's really fucking confusing.
It's gaslighting because he's like, no, I'm not. And it's like, you literally are, though.
Yeah.
Like, you literally are. Whereas the other people in the Old Testament, the other prophets that criticized the leaders, they were saying, you are breaking the rules. Here are the rules. And they, quote each other.
Right.
And then they'd say, you're breaking them.
Right.
Jesus is like, you're breaking the rules, but also when I break them, it's because I had a good reason. And also, I'm going to make up a few new ones that go against some of the old ones, but I'm the Son of God, so just trust me.
Yeah.
And it's like, what?
And that you can't even follow his fucking teaching.
No.
Because it's so all over. It's all over the fucking place.
And that's why I keep having a really hard time. I'm reading this. I'm taking notes with the understanding that this Jewish sect becomes Christianity.
Right.
And I'm having a really hard time separating that because it already feels separate and Christian.
Yeah.
And I'm not supposed to take it that way because he's still Jewish at this point, but he doesn't feel Jewish at this point.
Right.
It's very hard to wrap my mind around.
We're always told that, like, Christians are like, Jesus died for our sins, that's why we don't have to follow the rules, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. But he decided not to follow the rules before he ever died.
Yeah.
So that's a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Like that whole reasoning that they have built in their brains as to why we don't have to follow the Old Testament rules isn't true.
He's a bad Jew.
He was rewriting Judaism in his own mind before he ever died.
Yeah. He was a bad Jew. I'm sorry, but he was.
I mean, people would argue, well, he was the Son of God. He can say he can make whatever rules he wants. That's going to be the argument against that.
That's what he says.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's exactly right. Like,
and that's his claim.
Why? But that would be the argument that we would make is like, why should we believe this?
He is literally breaking Jewish law and then saying, but I'm still a Jew.
Right.
And I'm like, you can't have it both ways, sir.
And the Jews' literal enemy, the Romans, they're the ones that propagated Christianity later in time, down the road, right?
Right.
So, like, literally, you made a bed with your enemy, and they made you more popular, and this is what we believe. We believe this to be true because the enemy of whatever. It was just a bunch of shit. Like, this is just a bunch of shit.
It's a bunch of political bullshit as usual.
Yeah.
And we today are stuck with the aftermath. And that's why I can't get an abortion in Texas. And they're making the kids in Texas read the Bible in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry, but fuck Jesus.
Right.
For where we are today in the United States in the year 2026, fuck Jesus.
Yeah.
God's a dick, fuck Jesus.
Right. When people tell me that just read the Bible, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's so funny.
I'm like, have you? And
right.
And don't say yes because no, you haven't.
Right.
I'm sorry, you haven't. You might have read pieces here and there.
You and I at this point know we know more than most Christians out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's absolutely true. I know that to be true.
Or at the very least, I know where to find the answers.
Right.
And they don't.
Right.
Because they're not capable of analytical thought.
Right.
And moreover, that's not the bad part. They're not interested in learning how to have analytical thought.
Right.
That makes me sad.
Yeah.
But not sad enough to pity them. It makes me angry.
Sure.
All right. So moving on to verse 5. Everything they do is done for people to see. They make their phylacteries wide and the tassels on their garments long. And we were like, what is that and what does that mean and why and what?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So phylacteries are small leather boxes containing passages from the Torah that they wore strapped to the arm and forehead during prayer. So they would basically just write down on little scraps of paper pieces from the Torah, and then they would crumple them up like spitballs, put them in a box, and then tape the box to their forehead and arm.
So this was like a style to show how
they were literally wearing the Bible.
Okay, so it's like when someone wears an American flag bandana.
Yes, actually, or an American flag bikini.
Right.
Yeah. To show off.
That shit pisses me off.
No, it pisses me off too.
And I don't know if they're aware of this, but it's actually technically illegal.
Yeah.
So whatever.
So Jesus isn't criticizing the people themselves. He's criticizing, or he's not criticizing the wearing of the phylacteries.
Yeah.
Okay. He's criticizing people who apparently made their boxes, their Bible boxes, so large that it was fucking ridiculous because they wanted to look especially devout. It's like how the people dress at the Trump rallies.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
like so over the fucking top. And you're just like, oh.
Or when you see someone who's oozing Christianity.
Yeah.
Like you've seen those people.
I'm related to those people. Yeah.
They wear the fucking, John 3:16 shirt, or they've definitely got a cross on at all times.
And it's huge and it's gaudy.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
It's basically like carrying around a comically oversized Bible, like the size of a bathtub.
Right.
Yeah. So everyone notices, look at me, I'm so religious.
No, there's definitely going to be religious bumper stickers.
Oh, yeah. And they have to have the fish symbol on the back of their car.
At least.
And honk if you love Jesus. Right. And, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So that was the phylacteries, okay? The thing about the tassels on their garments, these were fringes, and the fringes were commanded in Numbers chapter 15 as reminders to obey God's commandments.
Okay.
So, again, he's not criticizing you wearing them.
Right.
He's like, yeah, you're supposed to. That's in the Old Testament. That's in the Torah, as a matter of fact.
But they're wearing them for style and for clout as opposed to...
Status symbol.
Right,
Yeah. And he's like, stop.
Yeah.
And that tracks.
Sure.
For that. Put your shit away.
You could say the same thing about many people, as we just discussed. There's much the same thing happening in Christianity today.
Yeah.
In so many different aspects of that religion.
People who make a show of praying over their fast food.
Yeah.
Please bless the hands that prepared
the 50-yard line on a high school football game,
Yeah, all of that, yeah. You're not supposed to make a show out of it.
Right.
You're supposed to keep it really fucking private because it's between you and God.
Yeah.
And the rest of the crowd doesn't... There's showing you're a good Christian by being Christian-like. And then there's showing... Yeah.
There's performative Christianity.
Yeah. Don't be performative. That's what he's saying. Okay, so moving on to verses 8, 9, and 10... He says, but you are not to be called rabbi. You have one teacher who are all brothers. And do not call anyone on earth father, for you have one Father, and he is in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah.
Hold on a second. Isn't there certain, I don't know if it's Catholics or who it is, but they call their pastors or preachers or whatever, they call them father.
Yeah.
Jesus literally says, don't do that.
Yeah. He says, don't call anyone on earth father.
And Christians. Christians of some denomination, which I can't recall which one it is.
Catholics.
It's Catholics? Okay.
Yeah.
Call their fucking people father.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
That is very fucked up.
Like, literally in your first book of the Bible, New Testament, you're like, don't do that. And they're like, fuck you.
Yeah. We can if we want to, because again, we know better. We break the laws because we can.
I gotta wonder how they get around that one. Like, the words are right there.
I don't know.
Okay.
But when we read this, for the podcast, we had questions about, but honoring your mother and your father is like the second commandment. Right after honor God is the first commandment.
Right.
And what do you mean? Like, we have fathers. We can't call them like what?
Yeah, that we took it a little bit differently then.
Yeah.
I didn't put that together with the priests or whatever that they call that.
The Catholic priests. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was that's problematic too, in my opinion. So.
No, both are. Yeah. So the instruction to call no man your father has confused Christians for literal centuries because the New Testament itself ignores any literal reading of this, because the New Testament itself has many people that as we will see as we go through the New Testament, refer to things as father. Apparently, Paul talks about father so-and-so.
Oh, so it rewrites it later, so it's okay to ignore this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And just as long as they cover it somewhere in here and we can just pick which one we want, then
I mean,
it
does
fine.
Specifically say don't do that. So
it's just that this is Jesus saying it literally.
Jesus says
red
don't
fucking words.
According to Matthew, Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah.
But almost every Christian tradition concludes that Jesus is just using Semitic hyperbole, which is a common Jewish teaching style that involves deliberate exaggeration.
Okay.
I don't know. To me, it's weird.
It's
His point,
but that's more to my point of like, why can't you just say like what you fucking
just say what you mean,
right?
Because here you're saying one thing, and then in another book of the Bible you're saying something else, and this is the word of God, and God can't like figure it out,
right? And then people,
but we are
today
supposed
are
to
like, just read the Bible and just it's the word of God is always true, and it's like. Okay, but
which
one? Which version? Because there's so many fucking versions and so many ways to interpret it that you can't just say that without having some sort of thought behind what you're saying. Because unfortunately for you who is saying that I just need to read the Bible, there's so many ways to read it. And not just because I'm reading it differently, but because different sects of Christianity that are also believers of Jesus are reading it differently and disagree with you about how that reading goes.
And again, which prophet am I to believe when all of you are on the street corners shouting, I'm the real prophet?
Yeah. Yeah. And moreover, we just heard earlier in this book that it doesn't matter. Like if you go to the wedding, right? And you're not dressed right, so you didn't believe in the correct version of Christianity, you're still fucked. So most of y'all are fucked if you're a Christian, even if you're a Christian.
Yep.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I know. I'm serious. So the point that Jesus apparently was probably trying to make is something along the lines of don't grant ultimate spiritual authority to human leaders.
Sure.
So when he says father, he means spiritual leader, not daddy.
Right.
But I don't know. That's still, I think the point that you made this evening about Catholic priests being father.
Yeah.
They are literally the speaker for God.
That seems to go directly against what is being told here.
It literally does. Jesus is criticizing titles that elevate the religious elites, not ordinary family relationships.
Yeah.
So Catholics, I would love to hear from you.
Right.
Let me know how you get away from this.
Interested in that.
Yeah. And then, so that first section was, again, verses 1 through 12. And Jesus finishes that section by talking about service and humility. Okay. So then the second section we get are the 7 woes. Whoa. To the religious leaders. Okay. He says, woe unto you. Yeah. Like a million times, it feels like.
Right.
It's listed as the 7 woes. Some people count it as 8 because, you know, when they speak, it's sometimes hard to tell like where things are split up. Yeah. So it's 7 or 8. Most studies call it 7 though, because that's a prettier Bible-y number. Sure. Because Bibles love 7. Yeah. Right? It's a series of prophetic condemnations. So calling someone a woe, quote unquote, it wasn't merely an insult. Okay. So when he says woe unto y'all fuckfaces, right, it's not just an insult. It's just like an
ancient fuck you.
It's a very, it's an Old Testament prophetic formula announcing harsh judgment. Not just judgment. Very harsh judgment.
Got it.
Isaiah, Jeremiah, Amos, a bunch of people use it.
So equivalent to when Christians today tell us we're going to burn in hell.
Yes.
Got it.
Or when they say in the South, bless your heart. That's not, they don't really mean for your heart to be blessed. That's not. As I said, 7 often symbolizes completeness. Yeah. It's a beautiful number, a perfect number, what the fuck ever. Sure. So Matthew or the writers thereof may be trying to portray a complete indictment of corrupt leadership. Okay. Like, y'all so corrupt, you're completely fucking corrupt. Yeah. Okay. So this covers the majority of the second half of the chapter. Sure. Again, except for the last 2 verses. Right. So this would be verses 13 through 36. Okay. Okay. So we get different woes pronounced against the scribes and the Pharisees for their intolerance, their rapacity, their false zeal, and those who would shut up the kingdom from other people. And again, he is talking about the kingdom as though it's elsewhere's, maybe. Like, you know how sometimes he's like, the kingdom is in heaven clouds.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it's the kingdom of heaven on earth, like your community.
Well, again, I feel like that was a switch that happened after that midpoint of the book too. Like early on, it felt very earthly, and it's later been
now he's talking about now he's talking about like that mystical, magical Carolot,
right?
You know, clouds in the sky, pearly gates thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, woe unto you who would block the gates of heaven from the rest of the people. Like, if the people are following your rules, they're not going to get to earthly pearly gate, magical God kingdom heaven.
Sure.
The one where I have a table and 12 chairs for all my dudes.
Yeah.
My Tucci gang.
Yeah.
You know? So then he also gives some woes against the religious leaders who make false, deceptive, or superstitious oaths and tithes. And we'll get into some of those.
Okay.
Those are fun. Okay, so let's start with verse 23. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give a tenth of your spices, mint, dill, and cumin. But you have neglected the more important matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the latter without neglecting the former. And we were like, what the fuck? Mint, dill, and cumin. What is that? What?
Right.
So apparently people not only would tithe like money, coin.
Sure.
Like even, Roman coin was the going money thing, denominations.
Right.
They would also have to tithe, the meat, their animals, their belongings. And one of the things that they had to tithe was their garden, their herb gardens.
Sure.
So
I mean, it was more of a barter system back then. So I mean,
that does make sense.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about it. So he's criticizing them, counting out their little mint leaves, tithing their tiny little herb gardens.
Yeah.
While neglecting the bigger things that are more important, the justice, mercy, and faithfulness. It's basically like he's saying, y'all are missing the fucking forest for the garden trees.
Sure.
Which is kind of cute, but I don't know. I'm just like...
And that's been said before in the Old Testament and things like that too. But at the same time, we've commented on this throughout the Old Testament. It's how the fuck are you you're supposed to do it all.
Yeah.
So what is like... Okay, sure. Yeah, you're supposed to mean it and tithe. So they're tithing. Why are you criticizing them for that?
Right.
Let's skip that and just tell them that they suck for these other reasons.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Who gives a shit?
Exactly. Just take my mint. Shut up. Like, we have the meme, shut up and take my money. And I could just imagine people saying, shut up and take my dill. Actually, I want that on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
All right, so then verse 24 says, you blind guides, you strain out a gnat, but swallow a camel. We were really confused at that. We were like, what even does that mean?
Right.
But apparently the camel joke is even funnier in the original Greek.
Okay.
Both of a gnat and a camel are unclean, right?
Sure.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So Jesus paints someone... Like he's painting this picture of someone painstakingly filtering their wine so that they don't accidentally ingest a tiny bug.
Got it.
And then swallowing an entire whole ass camel.
Okay.
So it's one of those intentionally cartoonish ridiculosities that they love to do.
Right.
It's basically a silly observation that the leaders are obsessing over tiny ritual details while committing enormous moral failures. Something that I would compare it to today would be somebody in the Facebook comments that's more worried about correct usage of the apostrophe between, it's like the dog licks its ass versus it is a dog, like
Right.
ITS versus IT apostrophe S.
Yeah.
Versus, I don't know, like release the Epstein files.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like what if we don't worry about my
The grammar.
apostrophe usage, which generally as a writer, I'm very good with grammar, but I don't think that's the most important thing here.
No, and it generally isn't the most important thing, but I will admit that sometimes when someone responds with such atrocious writing that I can't possibly...
There's always over the top.
Then I have to say something because I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Did you even school? Like, what the fuck was that?
No, I mean, there's obviously a point at which it's like, okay, I can't really engage with you.
Right.
And I'm not going to. Because, again, you're so unserious.
Right.
But there's a difference between an obvious grammar error.
Yeah.
Versus, but the sentence still is structurally sound and you're able to have a conversation.
And atrocious grammar.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, I've gotten into arguments with people, and again, they're just like more concerned with correct spelling or correct. And this is coming from somebody who loves grammar.
Right. No, I think that what it ends up being in conversations where people are arguing about points, it ends up being a crutch to not argue the point and call someone stupid.
Yeah, and I'm like,
that's all it is.
You know what? Fuck you. Don't worry about how I said it. Just release the fucking Epstein files.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
Just release the Epstein files.
Yeah.
And why is Louis C.K. back on stages and doing shows? Why? Why?
I didn't.
You know why? I can tell you why. Because men in America get a fucking pass. They can be out there showing their genitalia off, sending dick pics to people, and making crude, crass, nasty sexual jokes. They can grope women. They can be rapey fucksticks. They can be entire ass pedos. And give it a couple years, and everybody will just forget. And then,
It's the time and place that we live in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got the Epstein files, and yet these people are still all just doing fine.
Yeah.
Because of our president.
It's not just our president, though.
No, but it's in large part. It's in large part.
Think about how hard it was to get Bill Cosby caught out.
Sure.
And even now, like, if he wasn't as old as he is, he could totally redo his image and come back.
Sure.
It's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree.
So it's not just the times. It's always been that way. Men have always gotten a fucking pass.
But it's certainly not getting better.
It's not getting better. It was for like 5 minutes, and then we had a black president, and every racist that was like ashamed of being racist in public, like they knew that they'd get shit for it.
Yeah.
They came out the fucking woodworks and were like, not my America. That was American Jesus made, and we're the biggest Christian and America first guns.
I don't know if you've ever watched like videos from like the 50s when, you know, civil rights was coming about and things like that. These people that they have on news reels and shit were racist motherfuckers.
Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but we sound a lot like them now.
We do.
Again.
We do.
You know, like
it's terrifying.
I had thought for years that we were growing past that and that these things would not be portrayed as what our society stood for.
Right.
But here we are.
Like, we would look at the 50s as a dark time.
Yeah.
And be ashamed. But, wow, I'm so glad that we're not like that anymore.
Except, oops.
Yeah, but we are. We are. Like, oh, well.
I guess. Yeah. It's just, it really blows me away. I really don't even have the words to describe how disappointing that is to me with regard to how our country is right now.
And I know that there are plenty of people of color who might hear this and be like, my white people, let me be the first to tell you that we always knew and
absolutely.
You were always wrong.
No, and
that's on me.
No,
you know?
and that is not to diminish the suffering that has happened the whole time.
But they would be the first to tell us, like, no, it was never getting better.
Right.
It was just easier for you to not see.
No, that's
what I mean. That's on me.
Sure.
Like, I didn't know because I am privileged enough to have never had to be on the receiving end of it.
Sure.
And it wasn't blatantly and in my fucking face. So I thought it was better.
Right.
And, here we find out, oh, no, it never was better.
Yeah.
And it's always bad.
Yeah.
And it just...
I think I started listening. You and I both started listening to a podcast. It was run by Sean King, which, if you ever get a chance, I don't know if it's been a couple years since I've listened to his podcast at this point, but we used to listen to it on a very regular basis, and it's very eye-opening with regard to learning more about people of color and what they go through, and just what's going on with regard to how they are diminished as human beings in the world that we live in right now.
Yeah.
And it was so heartening to hear someone standing up for this and making it a case, but it was disheartening to understand that these things are still happening in such abundance across our country.
Right. On a daily basis.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Breonna Taylor, you know?
No, absolutely.
So many. John Crawford III,
right.
You know? Like,
that was in our back door. We went to a protest for that one. So
yeah.
That was crazy.
You said back door, but you meant backyard.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. Our neighborhood. Our neck of the woods.
Our neck of the woods.
Yeah. It's just the tragedies are very real. They're very real, and fuck ICE and fuck police.
And just know that because you're not hearing about them doesn't mean they're not happening.
Yeah.
They absolutely are.
That's the one thing I learned out of all of this.
Right.
Not only was I wrong because I was blind and deaf.
Yeah.
And you have to want to see and you have to want to hear.
Right.
And that's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard. Okay, but moving on.
Yes.
To verse 27.
Yeah.
Okay, wait. Let me make sure I did. Okay, yeah. We did all the gnat, but the camel. Okay, so, verse 27. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. Again, still. You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of the bones of the dead and everything unclean. And we were like, what a weird thing to say. Tombs have bones inside them, and that's gross.
That is true.
Like, right. Weird. Okay, actually, we were wrong. There's more to it. And this actually makes sense. Okay. You look skeptical every time I say stuff.
I'm always skeptical.
I know.
That is like my starting point in life. So
fair. It's just that this one actually I was like, oh, my bad. This makes sense.
Sure.
Okay. So pilgrims traveling to Jerusalem, specifically for Passover, but also for other festivals, they could become ritually unclean by accidentally touching graves and not realizing that the grave was a grave.
Sure.
So, like, when we were picturing tombs, we're picturing, like, what you picture when you picture a tomb.
Yeah.
Right? Like the tombs in Louisiana, right? They're tombs. They're great tombs.
Yeah.
Or like the tombs in Game of Thrones, tombs, right. Catacombs, giant buildings that have lots of grave things in them,
yeah,
right?
Right.
No, but it could just be like a burial ground.
Some sticks sticking up out of the ground.
And you don't realize it, right? So you accidentally touch it and you don't even know.
Wait, if you touch the tomb itself, like you don't even have to touch the dead body. The tomb counts as part of the dead body?
It's not just part of the dead body, it's representative of the dead body.
No, I know, but in the Old Testament they're like, don't touch dead things. But I'm like, but the tomb's not dead. That's just sticking up over top the dead thing.
Right, and to you it doesn't mean anything, but to them it was very spiritual and representative.
All right.
So you're touching graves without realizing it, and you're mixing your clean self, your soul, your body, with stuff that's representative of death.
I do remember when I was younger and going to a graveyard, I felt very concerned about stepping on top of graves.
I did too.
You know what I mean? Like it felt
very wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was just like I don't know, because it's such a somber occasion anytime you go to a gravesite, right? And you obviously know that there's a dead person laying down.
And you're there to see your dead person, but you're standing on somebody else's dead person in order to be there.
Right.
That's the way I felt.
It just feels a little weird.
The whole thing is weird. Burying bodies is weird.
It is. I want to be cremated.
No, totally.
Like,
Same. Or like put in a tree or something, like, you know,
no fuss, just
no
whatever.
Fuss, no muss.
Get rid of my shit. And
the whole
I'm
thing
done.
is so weird.
Right.
It's weird because spiritually, if you're going the religious route, well, your soul ain't in there no more. It's an empty shell. Why do religious people get so weird over bodies that are, especially Christians? They're like, oh no, the soul's not in there no more. It's just about them. Why the whole religious rigmarole over the funeral stuff?
Right.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Right? And these big old decorative fucking graves and shit with the statues and the angels and the crosses. It's so fucking weird.
Oh, it's a whole, it kills me that there are salesmen for your death.
Yeah.
Which that alone.
That is so American.
Like, oh my God.
That is so capitalism.
And it's a hard sell. They're like, well, why wouldn't you get the best, your family, and they lay guilt on you about, like, when you're going to die. And I'm like, oh my God.
I guess they don't mean anything to you. And I'm like, they literally don't. They're dead. They're dead and they don't fucking care. And I'm not going into debt.
Right.
Like, this is stupid. Let's not be dumb.
Like, if I'm getting buried, give me a pine box and whatever the fuck you got. I'll just give my people a shovel, okay?
Throw me in a
care.
ditch and pour some fucking lime over me.
Lye. Not lime.
Lye. No, yeah, you're right. Lye. Whatever, you know what I'm saying? Fucking acid.
No, you put the lime in the coconut.
You do put the lime in the coconut.
Yeah.
And you put the lye on the dead body.
I mean, sure.
Okay. No, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Don't put the lye in the coconut.
No, yeah, that would not work out well.
No. So these guys, they're traveling, right?
Yeah.
From far distances.
Yeah.
Right? To come to these festivals, these religious festivals, to do their religious things.
Sure.
Right? And then they accidentally walk by a grave and they accidentally touch it.
Sure.
And now they're unclean, right?
Okay.
And I mean, okay, yeah, I think it's silly for me, but for them, this was very serious. Okay.
I'm trying to put myself in the serious touched graves position here. Okay.
So the people would paint the tombs bright white every year. They would go out there and repaint them bright white to warn people away.
Don't touch this shit.
This is a grave. Careful. Watch out. Don't touch it.
Right.
Yeah. And so calling someone a whitewashed tomb means that you look pristine on the outside, but you're
dead
death
inside.
And poison on the inside.
Okay.
Yeah. And moreover, you're unclean.
Sure.
So, I mean, I thought that was actually historically cool to know. Like, that's why our tombstones are all like white.
Yeah, you don't want to accidentally,
day.
but yeah.
You know? I mean, think about like all of the graves, like the military graves, right?
Sure.
They're all white.
Right. That's true.
Right?
Interesting.
They're either gray stone, some kind of weird marble, or they're white.
Right.
Those are the choices. That's all you get. I want a pink tombstone.
Yeah.
If I got to be buried, my tombstone better be pink. I'm telling you. All right, so moving on to verse 33.
Yeah.
Ye snakes, ye brood of vipers, how will you escape being condemned to hell? Right? Remember, we were like, Jesus Christ!
So to speak.
Yeah. Like, that was so, like, fire and brimstone Old Testament.
Right, it's just going that, he went that route. Yeah, for sure.
He went hard. Yeah. So, the one that we read, the translation that we read, did say hell.
Which, by the way, is the NIV, in case anybody cares.
Right.
So.
Right. But the word should have been Gehenna. That's what it actually was.
Yeah.
Not like, Hades hell.
No,
it should have been Gehenna.
Well, should it have, though? Because I feel like we've started talking more, like Satan's a thing now.
Now he is talking more about the idea of hell than Gehenna, which was named after the Valley of Hinnom outside of Jerusalem.
The other Jewish folks would have been hearing Gehenna, right? Because they're still Jewish.
Right.
And you know what? That's unfair to say. I don't actually know. Maybe they've progressed to a point where Gehenna is something different now, and it's combined with this, Roman idea of Hades and all this other, because like Hades comes up, right? Hades is in the fucking Bible.
Yeah.
And
if I'm not mistaken, though, Hades was not Roman; it was Greek.
Sure, but whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's
the
persisted
underworld.
through. Hades is well known as the underworld, right?
Yeah.
And even in the Bible, it's there as the underworld at some points, right?
Yeah.
And there's been so much cross-pollination between other ideas, like with the Babylonians and now Greek and Roman, that I don't even know what Judaism or Christianity really is. It's such a mixture
at this
of different
point
ideas.
That we're reading.
Right, at this point that we're reading, because we missed 300 years or 400 years of development between when they've been ruled by Greeks and Romans, right?
Yeah.
And so these ideas have been percolating for hundreds of years.
So what did they actually consider what happens when you die?
Right. So I can't speak for the common Jewish person at this point, because I don't know what the common belief would have been with them, because we don't actually have that portrayed. Right. We're only hearing the Jesus perspective, and the Jesus perspective does sound very hell-like and less
But
Gehenna-like.
the word used in the Greek version, the Vulgate, is that correct? Yeah. And then the Latin one is the other one.
Well, the Greek one is the Septuagint.
Septuagint.
Yeah.
I thought that was the Latin one.
That's the Greek.
Okay, I always get those two mixed up. Anyways, the one that's in the Greek one, they use the word Gehenna.
Got it.
Okay. So whatever that meant to them, originally it was the fires named after the Valley of Hinnom outside of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
And it had come to be associated with divine judgment.
Sure.
Like, better behave or I'll throw you into the Gehenna fires,
Yeah.
There's still an ongoing debate today about whether Jesus meant a literal place of eternal torment, complete annihilation, symbolic judgment, or something else.
Sure.
We can't know what Jesus meant.
And that pretty much sums up the whole Bible.
It really does.
We just can't fucking know.
Yeah. Matthew, though, more than any of the other Gospels, so, Mark, Luke, and John.
Right.
Of which Paul speaks somewhere. I don't know where
Paul's later.
Okay.
But
well, anyways, Matthew, more than any of the other Gospels, repeatedly emphasizes final judgment. So that's most likely what Jesus meant based on what he was talking about in other places.
Okay. If you take it as a whole and
if you read the whole book of Matthew,
right,
it was most likely final judgment.
Okay.
So,
all right,
end of the road.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not necessarily eternal damnation and punishment, hell that we think of today.
But again,
who could know though? Right. But it was definitely final judgment.
Sure.
Okay. So then we move on to the last couple verses of this book, or of this chapter.
Yeah,
sorry.
Right.
Where we get the lamentations over Jerusalem. And he's like, oh, Jerusalem, I'm so fucking sad. If you'd only fucking listen to me.
Yeah.
Things would be great. Oh, woe is me.
Right.
He compares himself to a mother hen wanting to gather her chicks to her, but Jerusalem just refuses to listen. Yeah. So we get verse 39. For I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Come in the name of the Lord.
Jesus.
What? So that actually is a reference to Psalm 118, verse 26.
Okay.
Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. From the house of the Lord we bless you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the biggest question here is really whether this chapter reflects the historical Jesus,
No.
Matthew's memory of Jesus,
Also,
sometimes,
probably not, but
sometimes,
okay.
or Matthew's community processing decades of conflict after Jesus' death. That's the one.
That's the winner
That's
for me.
the one. Yeah. Ding, ding, ding.
Right.
Obviously, these are not all three the same thing.
Sure.
These are three different ways of trying to guess what happened and what was being written about and who was writing and why.
Right.
And historians continue to debate where Jesus' own voice ends and the evangelist theological emphasis begins.
Somewhere around chapter 16 or 17.
Right? Yeah. We knew that one without looking it up.
Right, yeah.
Like, literally.
Yeah. No,
that's when we were like...
Like, this is without having any studying with, like, you don't even have to study.
We're neither scholars
understand.
nor academics. We're just fucking reading this through and we're like,
Right.
whoa, that's changed.
You can hear the tone shift.
Mm-hmm.
You can hear the change in the way these things are being portrayed, right, at 16 to 17.
Yep.
And that's to me, nothing says this shit was added on like a dramatic change in wording and the way things are phrased. You know, like
Yes.
that's just that's something that's held consistent throughout the Bible, right?
Yes.
We've touched on this in almost every book that we've read, where there's usually at least one section, if not an entire half or quarter of a book or something, where something's been stuffed in. And it's
you can
very
always
fucking
tell.
obvious.
You can always tell because there's words that were used differently. There's a tone shift. There's somebody else is talking instead.
Yeah. Yeah, it's never hidden.
Right.
You just have to listen for it. And
But we didn't even know to listen for it. You don't
Right.
even have to listen for it. You just have to read it and be like, huh, that's different.
right. And then think and then generally you can just think about those situations and be like, oh, well, that was happening. This is probably when it was written, and okay, so that was added then, and this is something else, and whatever.
And it was almost always added in later because of some political shenanigans or some kind of catastrophe or some kind of this building exploded.
Right, but it I guess the part that bothers me is that there's so much debate over this, quote unquote, when in reality you just need common sense deduction to figure this out. It's not really that difficult.
The debate should be more like, this is what scholars generally believe. That should be the end.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be scholars are still debating this too. And I'm like, when you say that, do you mean that Christians are like, nuh-uh?
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah.
And you're trying to be respectful of those like, nuh-uh.
Because when we say that this was written after the fact and they stuffed in different ideas, then we're saying that Jesus didn't actually say those red words, right? We're saying things that they don't agree with. But then you call them out on things like, well, Jesus said this, but then later Paul says that, right? Which, again, we haven't got to Paul yet, but like, they're going to be like, well, they interpreted it differently at this point. Like, oh, so now we can interpret things differently because you want to, but back then we couldn't, even though it was very obvious of the tonal shift, the fucking differences in when it was written versus, I mean, just...
You're bringing your agenda. Shut your goddamn mouth.
Right. Like, when people say that Christians cherry pick, it's not just, you're not just saying it because it's funny. You're not just saying it because they take this idea and put it here. You're saying it because the cherry picking is indicative of the whole interpretation of the Bible, right? It's not, it's nefarious from some people, like the teachers that are teaching this
that
to
should
be
know
cherry
better.
picked. That's nefarious.
Yeah.
But the people that are learning it that way don't know that they're actually cherry picking. They're just being taught it a different way that makes sense to view that relationship with their God in this specific way that their pastor or preacher or father wants them to fucking view it as, right?
And they don't have critical thought. So
right. Well, because they've been brainwashed, because they've been taught to not have critical thought, because they've been told not to question.
Right.
Because why would they, if they believe that this is their God then their job is to follow the tenets of their religion, and their religion is laid out for them by the leader of their church or whatever it is they belong to, right? There's no reason for them to dig any further than that into it, generally speaking, especially if you grew up in that religion.
I just couldn't imagine being...
I couldn't either, but...
I couldn't imagine being told don't ask questions and going, okay. Like, you tell me, don't go in that room. The first thing I'm going to do is wait till you leave and I'm going to go in that fucking room. Like, I can't help it. Yeah. I am Eve. I do want to be like, tree of knowledge. I'm going to eat that apple. I want to know stuff.
Right.
Like, don't tempt me with a good time, y'all.
Right. Or give me a good reason that makes logical sense not to do the thing. Like, don't go into that room because
there's a nuclear weapon in there and opening the door trips a wire.
Sure.
Now, that's not actually a good reason because you do not have a fucking nuke.
Right. So that would sound ridiculous.
Stupid. Yeah. It would sound as ridiculous as anything that I've read in the Bible.
That would require much more storytelling than just there's a nuke in there and don't open the door.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Now something that you could say and get away with is, hey, you know how I have that laser engraving thing?
Yeah.
Don't go in there because it's running, and if you open the door too far, it'll hit the thing and mess up, and it takes like fucking 13 hours to fucking run, and I'll have to start it all over, and then I will hate you forever.
Right. A legitimate reason that's known due to a thing that's happening that you can actually tell is happening.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
And also the laser light thing, if you look right at it, like it can harm your eyes.
It's not good for you.
Yeah. So, I mean, all of that, I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't want to go in that garage either.
Right.
So I guess I'm not going in there today.
Right.
I guess I'm not getting the lawnmower out and mowing. Okay.
All right. Well, anyway, that was our Q&A for Matthew chapter 23.
Sure as fuck was.
And we are going to try to be back soon with...
Q&A over Little Maddie chapter 24.
All right. We'll see you then.
Bye.